Let me correct it to know how do we think. So rejecting the premise, that premise means idea. So
مم.
the sentence start with present participle phrase. So I expect subject. So who was rejecting? Editor. So
مم.
the premise, that what is the premise? It is the premise, the idea
مم.
that the literary magazine should present. Now
مم.
here, so because he was rejecting, he fostered his
مم.
diverse perspective. So diverse as in different ideas by promoting their authorial autonomy. That means he rejected the unified way thinking, but he fostered the diverse. Now Johnson F. self-effacement diverge from the editorial stances of
مم.
whose decision for their publication were what? Now the decisions were what? So we need adjective to describe noun. This is a noun, the subject. So we need adjective to describe the subject. How can you describe the decisions? Ambiguous, ambi means unclear. Ambi
مم.
means unclear. So C is wrong. Unpretentious, pretentious from the word to pretend. If you pretend to something, it means you want to impress people. So we're not talking about decision can impress people or not. So
مم.
prof, as you know, the prefix prof means you have a lot of knowledge from
صاحبي
the
يقول لي ايه؟ افتح قول له ثانية واحدة.
so it means the letter A is wrong. So dogma. Dogma means true. Dogma
مم.
means true. So letter B is correct.
تمام.
Now here with this idea, let's try again. Remember, we practice techniques of how to know the word. Come on.
independent of
Letter C, it's correct, but I need evidence. How did you know?
ايه yeah. ما- spring.
Let me help you. Let me help you.
ها
Let me
ايه
help you advance. Number one, the writer used idiomatic expressions or scientific terms like this one. So no sense costs what means this one. So between two dashes, as we agreed, to emphasize information, to define, to add details. I said here is
مم.
though the cost, though variable. So we need answer here opposite. So though. So which one opposite? Variable, as you know, just like it's different. Many kinds, many different kinds of cost. So it must be independent of because they wanted to reduce the cost. As I mentioned,
مم.
the charities can mitigate. So mitigate means to reduce the effect. So mitigate means to reduce, to make it less severe. So it's letter C.
مم.
I accept it. Next.
developed
So developed letter C, correct. Next.
variable
C is a letter, so letter D, verb, correct. Come on, next. Good homework.
اللي هي سي مش عارف انت
Letter C, it's correct. So commonalities here, just like you shared similarities.
ايه
Letter A, letter A. So letter,
yes
remember letter A, as I told you, prefix neg means no, and the
مم.
negate from the word negative to prove that something not true.
مم.
Remember, we practice suffix and prefix everything. So correct. Next.
straightforward
Letter B, correct. Come on.
anomaly
Letter C, it is correct. But did you know what it means?
yes
What does it mean?
اللي هو يعني حالة شاذة أو كده
How did you know? important to know here an or a or ana equals no without against opposite, and none means fact. None means fact. So a means not, none means fact. So not fact, it means something not natural. As you know, the word normal, norm,
مم.
the word normal. All right. Hmm. Come on, the next.
homogeneous B.
Letter B, correct. Next one.
B.
P again, exposure, correct. Hmm.
دي مش حلال.
Let's answer it now.
بس لو حضرتك بتتكلم أنا مش سامع.
No, I'm just helping you by highlight. Don't worry.
مم.
Just waiting for your answer.
C.
You think it's letter C, but why? And what does that mean?
وأنا فاكر حضرتك قلت لي نيك دي معناها
Not from the word no,
مم.
neglect, negligible. Yeah, it means not significant enough to be worth considering. It does not deserve, importance. It's something unimportant, not essential, not vital. But how did you know? Here, for example, adjectives. What does it describe? Participation. The study a challenge. A challenge is something opposite. They revealed the opposite. Here we need negative. Which one negative?
هي
Common,
C.
B. So it must be letter C. So they think that female participation was not significant at this moment. But the studies
مم.
proved no, half others. I don't need the answer. I need you to practice. How do we catch the word? And remember, learn vocab from reading a lot. That's better. Come on, what is next? All right, I will stop at the end. Okay, my dear, I'm going to send the file right now. Now let's correct it. What's yours?
D.
Letter D, it's correct. I was talking about the change, correct? So it's adjective described as the noun. Find information
مم.
about its noun. That's great. But remember, do not skip any word you don't know. Okay.
مم.
Next.
B.
Letter B, it is correct. Do you remember the Latin roots? A means not.
مم.
What is next?
Uniform.
Uniform, that is correct. Remember the Latin root uni means one form. So one form, look and the neck and reduce. If you reduce something, you remove it, it means not important. That's correct. So I like you. All right, skip it now.
مم.
What next?
C.
So what does it mean, C?
إعاقة يعني.
Try to explain in English any word, synonyms, antonyms, anyway. So
مم.
here he said main creativity. And this word means finally. So nothing
مم.
finally. So from the sentence here, could you tell me what may impede creativity?
What mean creativity
Mhm.
اللي هو يعني حاجة أنا عارف بس مش عارف أشرحها يعني.
So what is? Remember here, Did we study clauses or not yet?
نعم.
Here, this is verb. What does it describe? The subject.
مم.
The problem in this is example, we don't have any word to describe what impede. The whole situation. The
مم.
whole situation. So before the word which or that, we must find the subject, what is responsible for the verb. So ask
مم.
yourself, what may impede creativity? There is no any specific word. The whole situation. That people is staring at the speaker. You know, stare. When you stare, you look at without thinking. But that
مم.
means it doesn't allow their eyes or mind to think. That
مم.
means no creativity, just only listener. So impede correct. Of course, come on. What's next?
إيه
Letter C.
letter A.
Letter A. Right. Remember, we have a trap. Reconcile already means to reunite, but the meaning is unfamiliar here. Correct. Next. Hmm.
مستر أعملها إيه؟
You make it letter A. So letter A is correct. But I need to know why. You can.
ما جبتها يعني من معناها يعني.
So I like you to think by the techniques we studied, not by sense. Sense does not help. Look, this clause
أوكي.
opposite to this clause.
مم.
The
هو
set,
آخر حاجة قال what happened، يعني هو كان عايز يعرف إيه اللي حصل
no. He said here, this has
في
led
الآخر.
some experts to suggest that the set may have been buried intentionally,
مم.
but without clear evidence, archaeologists cannot think carefully. They will guess,
مم.
but why not be? Because dismiss means to refuse something,
مم.
ignore it. But he didn't mention that archaeologists ignore the fact or ignore the issue.
مم.
You know it? They are going to the study, but they speculate means they are left to guess information.
مم.
Of course, letter C and D opposite to the tone. Remember tone positive and negative. The
مم.
one that will practice a lot.
يعني مش حللها.
Let's try again now. Remember, we study the same way.
مم. المشكلة ما أعرفش أي حاجة من اللي في الشويزز.
Did we study the Latin root last time?
نعم.
Did we study the Latin roots last time?
بيس.
So why you didn't memorize them, man? Told you to revise them, right? This ones. Why? Because any reading, any question will depend on them. For example, here, susceptible means exposed to something. You're under the risk of something like vulnerable, susceptible to disease. Contingent on. To con means two things depend on each other, and we have on to help your memory, depend on. Saturate, sat means you are sufficient. You know, you are happy or something, you are satisfied from the word SAT. You know, D means to remove. If you remove something, it means you are out of something, devoid of something. Now follow the same way. We have adjectives. What does adjective describe in life in English? Now, what is it? So, subordinated conjunction. When a higher number of users who were making one-way trips is likely to leave some locations within the system. So we describe the some locations. So a high number will leave the locations without
Beautiful.
dependable, susceptible to Pascal's. How? It's
Mm.
saturated, filled with something, full of
Mm.
something. That's why. And look at the other comparison. Look, remember, I'm just like remind you for the techniques. Other and the sum. Other or opposite. So your answer here must be opposite to insufficient.
Mm.
What is opposite of insufficient? Sufficient. So which
Mm.
word means sufficient here? Because SAT in Latin roots means sufficient.
Mm.
And the meaning, of course, here it's wrong because susceptible to something negative like dangers, diseases, viruses, germs. And of course, it doesn't make sense. And here, opposite. That's why. Feel it?
Mm.
So the contrast way here. Right. Next.
Accessible.
Accessible letter D, it is correct. But let's find something.
Mm.
How about this word? Can you guess?
Minus. لا. Mm. مش عارف بس.
Now, again, remember, Ali, you must memorize all the Latin roots because we cannot help you without them. Look, for example, any word has L-U-M, any word, it means give light to something.
Mm.
If giving light to landscape paintings, what it means, it's brilliant, clear to eyes, attractive. If I ask you eliminate your idea, you must give it light, you must make it clear, you must give evidence.
Mm.
Elimination in sea animals means it.
Mm.
Found it? Like the word LUS, the same, to give light. Illustrate an idea, illustration in books for children. To note, illustrate your idea means find evidence. That's what I'm telling you about. No problem. Do you remember pro? Pro for something future. Pro, like progress.
Mm.
Here we have found. If I said profound, something found useful, something found useful for future.
Mm.
And here we have sub, it means law. Now we need to find the fact. Here, painting is subject, same verb, so we need adjective to describe paintings.
Mm.
How the paintings are described here and what help you. So let's find. Many critics focused their attention on art that is cryptic or overtly challenging. So if you focus your attention on something, it means you change it. So the
Mm.
practice was what? Was opposite. Opposite to that. What is opposite to overtly? Overtly means something hidden, something secret. You cannot access it easily. So this
Mm.
means you're accessible, correct? We are not talking about nova. You know nova and Latin roots? Nova means something new.
Mm.
No, this can something inventive, for example. But we are not talking about paintings here. What is described is opposite. And of course, it's not subversive. It's not about the low rank or low importance. And when I'm talking about, is it substantial or important for future? That's why. So we practice the techniques that we learn.
Mm.
What is next?
Which Azure most asserted.
Third, correct. Confirmed. After calling explanation, this explanation comes mentioned before. Find any technique to help you. Here used explanation after calling. What is next?
And analogy.
Analogy? All right. So what is your evidence? We have semicolon. After semicolon explanation. And the writer already gave it to you. Broad similarities means analogy.
Mm.
Labor means work. Call together. So collaboration, synergy, cooperation, working together. Where? Not mentioned. Contra means against. Dict means information or word. So contradiction opposite to what is mentioned. Where? He said here, identifying similarities. Okay, so you have evidence. Hmm.
Characteristic.
Characteristic here, it's correct and here clear. You have evidence of this. This refers to the previous content. What is explained before? Characteristic, not accomplishment. So the word this can help you. Okay. Next.
Transcendent.
And what means transcendent?
إن هو سريع يعني عندي مش عارف أشرحها بالإنجلش بصراحة.
Well, this is a problem. If you don't know it in English, you will not answer it in English. Trans, it means to cross, to pass. Ascend high. If I cross high something, I go beyond it. So the work subject is known for what about boundaries? Epitomizing means explaining. Does he explain? The next one said explain? No. Anticipating, anti means to have something happen before you predict it. Does not make sense. Force and rain. Rain in English means control. Control by force, you support it. But intimation support the boundaries. He used the opposite. Imagine, because he got engineers, biologists, chemists, all of them different fields. How different fields can give ideas about one field. So this means he go beyond the boundaries. He used something not normal, something not workable, something innovative. That's why. Remember, I don't need guess or sense. Came to the end. And now we are going to practice questions with answers. I left the questions with answers for you. Later, inshallah, you can revise at home. And now we are going to test you with the same techniques. Remember, we're using the same techniques. Let me answer number one. Here, for example, I read very quickly, of course, but while reading, I look at the answers I found now. To celebrate, infinitive phrase. Who is going to do? Sir Mike. Celebrate getting a new job at the law office. Decided to spend the time with his family. They all went to the park and had a cookout. Mike had a. So Mike, subject, and nature. So nature noun, so we need adjective, and we need noun, and so adjective. And loved. Here you have evidence to support. Loved playing with his nieces and nephews on the jungle game. Jungle gym, I mean. So are we talking about science, environment around him, the circumstances around him? But no, it is useful nature. So we're talking about his character or his personality. So A is wrong. There is no any information about sense of humor, so he is wrong. But personality means a character, his persona, his person, his character. structure means the body shape, tall, long, fat. But we are not talking about the structure, so it means is wrong. So the example is easy, but the word could be difficult. Now it's your turn, right?
Spencer was very interested in who all of her friends had a crush on. The praying girl asked them so many personal questions to try to figure it out. The praying girl asked them so many. مش عارف.
Let's follow the rules. Let's find the rules. Number one, what kind of word? Present participle phrase as an adjective.
Mm.
So we need adjective to the noun girl. So it's an adjective to describe the girl. Spencer was very interested in who all of her friends had a crush on. So the girl asked them many personal questions. What kind of person? Into, you know, asking many questions, not something good. Remember, here we need adjective. This is noun. The know the suffix. The suffix it tells you the word is noun. So B is wrong because the structure and grammar wrong. Here, yes, it's a positive. If you're curious about knowledge, research, okay, but here it's too many personal question is negative. Now we are between nosy and lifting. You know the word nose. If you put your nose in an issue, it means
أيوه.
not in a bad way. But this means here it could be nose. So the spelling can help you look. That's why I told you study spelling to help you in order to remember nose. But why not to be letter D? And we are not talking about that. So we're talking about lifting. She wanted to be proud, for example. And do we mean that? Lifting is just like to lift something up. This means you feel proud about something people. You feel that you are more important than them, for example. It does not make sense here, or we don't have an ideas, right? Now, are we talking about lifting? If I lift something up, it's just like you make it too formal. Means, for example, you make it related to rules. For example, when I say the lifting of the issue to the judge, I'm talking about that, or the lifting of economic sanctions. This means the punishment will be very high, but we're not talking about that. There is no any sense. So nosy is correct. So what means the pry? That is a trap. The same meaning. You are going to try to know private facts from people. This means no. So pride. You are curious about some details personally. That's why. Here it is the same. Now when
lazy.
so you want to make it lazy, so lazy is best. But what means C or D?